Hello guys, this is your friend Shinobi Addict 2.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto fathered a child with the goddess Hera? Part 1. And if you enjoyed this fanfic then please like and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. Now let's start the fanfic. I don't own Naruto or Percy Jackson. If I did I would completely rewrite all of Naruto. High above the great city of New York, above the mere mortal's Empire State Building stood another city, a city which had stood for centuries, a city which put all others to shame. This city. Why is named Olympus? In the very heart of this magnificent city, at the peak of the mountain that the city rested on, was a palace. Inside the palace stood 12 thrones. Each was more different than the others in the shape of a U, with a central fire hearth which was currently unattended. In the middle of the 12 thrones stood two, which were the only ones occupied at the moment. The throne on the left side of the U was filled with storm clouds and lightning. The throne on the right side of the U was filled with peacock feather and gold rings. The two beings that occupied the thrones were a man and a woman, each standing at 15 feet tall. The man's name is Zeus. He normally dressed in a pinstriped suit and had stormy eyes and a grey beard and black hair. However, currently he was wearing blue pants and a blue long-sleeved shirt with a FL. A jacket over the shirt, with a coat with flames on the bottom on it, with a clean-shaven face and blue eyes and blonde hair. The woman's name is Hera. She normally would be dressed in a silver chiton with black hair and golden eyes. However, currently she was wearing a kimono with peacock feather on it, red hair and amethyst color eyes. The reason they were dressed this way was easy to explain. You see, it all happened 2 months ago. And Zeus yelled out in sadness as he watched as his beloved daughter Thalia die by the hand of his own brother's minions, the Furies. Zeus sees that life has not left his beloved daughter's eyes yet, so thinking quickly, he does the only thing that he can do because of the ancient laws that all the gods were bound by. He turned his daughter into a pine tree in the hope that someday he would be able to revive her. After turning his daughter into the tree she now is, he turned around to see the angry face of his wife Hera. "So your bastard daughter is now a tree," said Hera with a thin smile, because while she despises all the bastard children of the gods due to her being the goddess of marriage, she is also sad that a young child is virtually dead, being stuck as a tree, because she is also the co-goddess of families. "Don't you dare speak about Thalia like that, Hera," said a very pissed Zeus. "What should I call your bastard of a daughter? Husband," Hera replied, saying husband like it was the worst curse I'm a Ginnable due to Zeus cheating all the time. Zeus decided it was not worth the effort to argue with her, left in a flash of lightning. Later that same day, Zeus sat down in one of the gardens on Olympus thinking, "My beloved daughter, if only I could have helped you more, you would be alive and walking right now, not alive but stuck as a tree." Zeus thought to himself, "What do I do now? I am done with my paperwork for the next few months. Going out and picking up women right now will only leave a bad taste in my mouth. I need a vacation to get past Thalia, but to where I already been to most places to vacation, and Hera will no doubt be watching my every move for a while." Zeus then remembered his son Ares. Whenever there wasn't any major wars going on, he go to some alternate dimension he fought. And back when Rome was at peace during Pax Romana, Zeus then went to Ares' temple. The temple looked like an army command building that had been painted red by throwing the paint on it. Zeus walked up to door and knocked. When Ares opened the door, rock music blasted out. Zeus yelled, "Turn it down, Ares." Ares turned the music down and asked, "Dad, what you need?" "I was expecting Aphrodite." Zeus then said, "I need to ask you something. How do you get to that alternate dimension you found?" Ares then asked, "Why?" "I was hoping that I could go there to take a vacation to get away from your mom." Zeus answered, "I can open a portal to it, but I need to tell you something. When you enter that dimension, you will temporarily lose your powers and you will take on the form of a newborn baby. And with no memory of your divine self until your mortal self becomes 21. And lastly, if and when you die, you will be sent back here and can't return for 4 years." Ares said, "Now do you still wish to go?" Zeus replied, "Yes, anything to get away from Thalia, death and Hera. Oh, one last thing before you go. Time is always fluxing between these two dimensions, but I got down to like this. For a certain amount of time, this dimension will be going extremely faster time-wise than us. Like right now, when you enter, you will be going 100 times faster than us, meaning your mortal self will have his 21st birthday 2 months from now. Ares said before Zeus entered and disappeared. Now what is keeping that woman? I told her I wanted to do her riding my bike today. Ares wondered. Hera after while Zeus was with Ares. Hera was with Aphrodite talking about their relationships, or more like Hera was complaining about how Zeus could never stay faithful to her. Aphrodite then said, Hera, what you need is a vacation. Hera then replied, really, where could I possibly go where Zeus wouldn't ruin it with the storms? Aphrodite thought for a moment and said, you could go to the elemental nations that Ares discovered back when we were in Rome. I could, but Ares hates me, right, because I cursed one of his favorite sons to a bad marriage. I could send you there. Ares showed me how after I blessed one of his ugliest daughters to one the most beautiful. Aphrodite said, thank you, Aphrodite, thank you. Hera said while hugging her. Aphrodite then opened a portal to the elemental nations. Hera then immediately went through and the portal closed. Should I have told her that she would have to live a mortal life till she is 21? Aphrodite asked herself before she shrugged and teleported to Ares. Elemental nations time 21 years after Zeus and Hera entered. Zeus, or as he was known in the elemental nations as Manato Namikas, was enjoying his vacation. He was born an orphan but made himself into a powerful warrior and leader. He also married a beautiful woman who to him was just as beautiful as any goddess, even his wife. He also learned a great deal here thanks to his wife Kushina about being faithful to his partner. He swore that when he returned to his world he would forevermore be faithful to Hera. He learned he was a god just the other night and spent the day coming to terms with everything that he has done in this world. Fun enough, he thought, amused. I regain my divine memory while I'm having with my wife. Chuckling, he continued to walk home, and when he got home he saw his beloved Kushina on the couch with a thoughtful look on her face. Hello beautiful, how has your day been? He asked. Manato, I need you to sit down please, there's something I have to tell you. She replied. Okay, so what is the news? He asked. I have to tell something that may be hard to believe, but I swear on my life it's true. She said nervously. Okay, I will believe whatever it's, so please tell me. He said, getting nervous himself. I am a goddess, an actual goddess. I came here to get away from everything, but I didn't know I would be living a mortal life or that my memories would return when they did, but I swear again that is the truth. She said nervously, you are a goddess of what, and if I can ask, what is your real name? Zeus asked, thinking that he married one of this world gods. My title is goddess of marriage, family, and mothers. I'm also their queen and married, but my husband is always cheating on me. As for my name, it's Hera. Zeus shouted out in shock. Yes, it is. How did you know that? She asked, wondering how he knew her real name before she even said it. Because I'm Zeus, he said. Zeus, what? How? When? She said, confused. Hera, I came here to get away after Thalia passed. I guess you came here to get away from me, he said. She nodded. Hera, I came here today to tell you about me, but now I can tell that I love you, and when we get back to our world that I will no longer have any more demigod children and remain faithful to just you, he said. Thank beloved, thank you. If you ever needed to have a child to do what the laws keep you from doing, you have my permission to have one, but only if you tell me first and you make sure the child is well taken care of. Hera said all of this while hugging Zeus. Are you serious, my love? But I thought that you hate all illegitimate children. Zeus asked. I did, but when I regained my divine self I realized that no matter if it's in marriage or out of marriage, a parent should love the child no matter what, and so on. Gee, as you love me and always come back to me, I will love any and all of your other children. She said, except for Heracles. Even you have to admit his ego is too big for his own good. That is true, he said. 9 months later, at the hospital, Hera was in maternity giving birth to a child at her side as her husband Zeus, who was getting an earful of things along these lines. I swear when this is over you will never have with me again, you bastard. Quote. The doctor examined Hera and said, Kushina, one more push, come on. Hera gave this last push everything she had and was rewarded to hear her baby's first cries. Zeus then came to her holding the baby and he said, it's a boy. He then handed the baby to Hera to hold. Hera looked at her handsome baby boy with his sapphire blue eyes and little tuft of blonde hair on his head. Just as she was about to name him, a violent blast rocked the hospital and Zeus went to the window to see what happened. The QB Zeus knew that he would have acted quickly to stop it. He also knew that there were only 3 ways to defeat the QB. 1. Use wood-style jutsu, to seal it into an object blessed by the fire monks, like the urn that has held it for almost a century. 3. To seal it into a living being. Zeus decided quickly and ran to get the urn. When he arrived at the Uzumaki mask shrine which held the urn, he found the urn completely destroyed. Seeing the urn destroyed, Zeus realized that the only way to defeat the QB would be to seal it into a living being. Zeus then harassed to Hera and told her what was happening and his plan. I plan on sealing the QB into both you and me, he said. What about Naruto? He'll be alone without either of us to take care of him, she asked. I set it up so that Tsunade and Hiruzen will take care of him in our wills, he replied. Zeus then helped Hera up and together with Naruto went to destroy the fox. The fighting was fierce but futile. Nothing the leaf ninjas did could stop the fox when suddenly a large cry was heard throughout the battlefield. Summoning jutsu, and in a plume of smoke appeared a massive red toad with a pipe in his mouth and a short sword on his back. It's Gamabunta the fourth has arrived, cried out the leaf ninjas in happiness that their beloved leader was there. Buta, I need you to hold the QB still so we can seal it away forever, Zeus yelled to Buta. Okay kid, just make it quick, I won't be able to hold him for long, Buta replied while running towards QB and taking hold of the fox. Zeus and Hera quickly formed the needed hand signs and shouted out, sealing jutsu, Reaper Death Seal. The spectral image of the death god Shinigami. The Shinigami then thrust his hands into the backs of Zeus and Hera, who both pulled with all their strength and managed to pull the soul of the QBO out and separate it into 2 halves. When the 2 halves reached Zeus and Hera, the seals were set. Then the Shinigami took Zeus's mortal soul. Then Hiruzen Sarutobi appeared and then saw the lifeless eyes of his successor and the barely living Kushina. Hiruzen, take care of my son P, please tell him about us, said Kushina, breaking into pants barely clinging to life. I will take care of him, Kushina, Hiruzen promised. And with that Kushina passed away. Back to Olympus. After Zeus and Hera returned, a council meeting was called by Apollo. Father, the great prophecy has been changed, Apollo stated seriously. The last time a great prophecy changed, they moved from Greece to Rome. The new great prophecy goes as this. A new god is born to two who are not. At the age of manhood the trials begin. Love of another divine he will. Olympus's prince shall rise and bring a new age, or he and Olympus shall fall. Do think we should tell them? Hera asked. No, we won't. They may not show it, but they are scared not of the demise part, but more on the new god part. They are scared of what this new god is going to be like. Zeus said, the only thing we can do now is wait and wonder what our son is going to be like. I hope he turns out better than Dionysus did as a demigod. Remember when he turned those sons of Poseidon into dolphins? Hera replied, I know he will turn out better than any of his brothers, even Heracles. Zeus said with conviction, the second that we can bring him here we will, darling. I just hope he can forgive us for not being there for him during the early years. Hera said, I asked Ares and he said that the next time the portal can be opened is in 4 years and that it will be about 16 years after we left there. Zeus said, so now we just need to wait and prepare for his arrival. Hera said, yes, we better, after all he is our son after all. Zeus said, for everyone who has reviewed and favored, I thank you. Now for some who may wonder why I didn't seal QB into Naruto. 2 reasons. 1. He is going to be a god anyway. To put QB in him would just be useless. 2. Naruto will already have experience as a warrior and leader. To anyone who questions the time issue, to put it simply, time is always shifting between the 2 realms. That is the reason for the 2 different times. Before you read this chapter, please note that Naruto is a Jonin. In my story he graduated at 10, became Chunin at 12 and made Jonin at 15. He hasn't been abused, but he will have had a few hardships that I will reveal later in the story. One more thing, because Naruto knew his parents were just without the god part or their real names, he has always worked hard to be the best of the best to in his own way earn their respect. One last thing, when he goes to their realm he will lose the ability to use chakra, but he will recreate some techniques with his elements from his parents. Now on with the story. Thoughts, anger, rage. 16 years later in Elemental Nations. It's late winter in Fire Country. A recent snowstorm has covered the village in an ankle-deep snow layer. Normally a person would just stay home next to the fireplace. Or the day, but there is one person out and about on this cold and ice-filled day, a young man about 5'9" in height wearing a thick jacket and jeans with a ski mask to cover his face. The young man was making his way towards the Hawkage Tower to answer a summons from the Hawkage. Once he entered the tower, he removed his ski mask. The man could easily be mistaken for his father with his narrow jawline, blonde hair that was spiky everywhere with his bangs going down to past his jaw, and especially for his sapphire blue eyes, his name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Why is Granny summoning me on a day like today? Naruto asked himself. Well, it better be good, otherwise I'll switch all sake out with hot sauce again. Naruto told himself as he made his way towards her office. Knock, knock, enter, Tsunade called from within. Naruto entered and sat down and then said, Granny, why have you summoned me on what has to be the coldest day of the year? Naruto, as you know, your father and mother they left you everything, which you received when you became a chunin at Tue. LVE, however your parents left you 2 letters that they left for you to read when you turned 16. Here is one of them. Tsunade said while handing the letter to Naruto. Naruto opened the letter and was stunned to say the least on what he read. Dear Naruto, I hope this letter finds you in good spirits, son. I have written thousands of letters like this and they never get easier, so I will just come out to say it. I am a god, Naruto. I have no doubt that you are stunned and are thinking that this is a joke, however it isn't. I am a god. I am not from this dimension, Naruto. When I and your mother died defeating the Kyuubi, both of us returned to our home dimension, and yes, your mother is also a goddess. You, my son, are what is called a demigod, half mortal, half god. Since your mother was in a mortal body when she first became pregnant, I'll hopefully be able to explain the mortal body part to you in person. However, you are more along the lines of what I and other gods call as a demi-deity. Because you have both your mother and my divine blood in you, are as close to a god as you can get without being immortal. My son, both your mother and I wish we could have been there for you, but when we died, the way we came to that dimension closed, we could only get these 2 letters through until now, that is. Naruto, your mother and I both wish for you to come to our dimension. If you are familiar with the summoning jutsu, and that is how the other letter works. It will summon you to our dimension. You will arrive in an apartment that has been put in your name, and you will have books there for you to learn about our world and its language. One last thing, because of the ancient laws that govern the gods, we can interact very little with you. There is also a book that will explain that in more detail there as well. Naruto, whether you decide to stay or come to us now that your mother and I love more than anything else in the world. Sincerely, your father. P.S. I can't tell you my real name because if I do, monsters in my world will be able to find you easier, if you come, that is. P.S.S. If you do come, read up on Greek mythology. Naruto was completely stunned. He had been told all his life how great his father and mother were. How he looked like father but acted like his mother when she was playful, but to learn that both of his parents were gods was understandably a shock. 1 hour later, after getting over his shock, he passed the letter to Tsunade, who was also shocked. Then another hour later, she finally asked, well, what are you going to do? Naruto thought about it for a few moments and said, I think I am going to go. I have always felt like I was meant to do Moti. Be just a ninja of the leaf, but just because I'm going doesn't mean I won't miss your mom. Saying this as the woman who raised him to be the man he is today cries, seeing as how her son in all but blood would be leaving in a few moments. Tsunade said, Naruto, I will miss you and so will all your friends, but from your Hawkage and your surrogate mother go, my son, with my blessing. After saying this, she kissed him on the forehead like when she did when he was a kid. Naruto said as he took the second letter, I will always remember you, mother. Take good care of yourself. After saying that, Naruto ripped open the letter and in a flash of light vanished. Tsunade then poured herself a drink and said, to the greatest god in all of existence, Naruto. Quote, New York City, New York. Naruto appeared in a modest-size apartment with completely furnished and stocked kitchen, a play-screen TV, and modest living room and a single master bathroom and bedroom. In the bedroom was a map of New York, the books mentioned in his father's letter, and a letter of admittance to Yancy Academy. Look out his window at the city below, Naruto said, turning his head towards the sky. Just like I told myself when I became a ninja, I will do you and mom proud, dad, so both wa. TCH me. 6 months later, on a school bus, Naruto sat back in his seat on his way to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Though back on the last 6 months learning a new language was actually fairly easy, although he found out he had a very bad case of dyslexic and an even worse case of ADHD, but it was and so bad he wasn't the only person in school who had them, and because of that he made a friend and roommate in Percy Jackson. Percy was a young man of 12 with black hair and sea-green eyes who looked up to Naruto because he was older, had the same disabilities, and still managed to be at the top of his class in all subjects. Another friend Naruto made was in Grover Underwood, who was crippled due to him always having crutches with him. Grover and he became friends due to Naruto taking care of the people who bullied him. After that they all became as tight as brothers. He was stopped from reminiscing about the past when he saw peanut butter and jelly pieces hit Grover. He then saw who threw them and saw Nancy Bobofit. Percy looked angry at her, and while Naruto agreed with him at being angry at her, he knew that he couldn't let Percy do anything stupid because he was already on probation. One more step out of line and he would be gone. So he pulled out a playing card. Percy says, "I'm going to kill her." "It's okay, I like peanut butter," Grover said. "Besides, you're on probation, you can't get in trouble again." Percy saw Naruto draw the playing card and replied, "Not if I didn't do anything." Nodding towards Naruto, Grover noticed the playing card. Nancy decided to throw another piece of peanut butter at Grover, but before it left her hand it was hit by a flying object. "Oh little monkey," Naruto said to her. Nancy, hearing Naruto, paled because the last time she heard that she would up in a biology class's monkey cage covered in monkey pheromones with a very horny monkeys in the cage with her. Needless to say that every time someone said monkey near her, ran as fast as she could in the other direction. Nancy turned towards Naruto slowly and said meekly, "Yes. Do you want the cage again?" Naruto asked, smiling like Tsunade did before she beat the living crap out Jiraiya for peeking on her. "No," Nancy replied. "Then leave Grover alone otherwise," Naruto said, leaving the threat hanging. Percy, seeing this, nodded gratified towards Naruto. They soon arrived at the museum. Mr. Brunner, the Latin teacher, led the tour and soon arrived at the Greek section and began to explain the different parts of it. Percy stood next to Naruto, and while Mr. Brunner was explaining the myth behind the creation of the chariot, told him, "Thanks for handling Nancy for me." Naruto, while still paying attention, "No problem, what are friends for?" Quote. Mr. Brunner then asked, "Percy, since you seem to know about this myth already, perhaps you can answer this question." Percy, stunned by being called out, said, "Yes sir." "Okay, here is the question. Is created the horses for the chariot, and who created the body for it?" Quote. Percy answered, "Poseidon and A.A." Naruto, seeing Percy struggle with the other answer, said, "Athena." "Correct," Mr. Brunner said, "but make sure to pay attention, Percy." Percy breathed a sigh of relief and said to Naruto, "Thanks again, geez, it's like he wants me to know everything." Quote. "No Percy, he just wants you to do your best, and I know it's tough due to our ADHD and the dyslexic, but if I can do it, you can do it, just try, okay?" Naruto said. Mr. Brunner continued the tour and at the end before lunch explained about the 12 Olympian gods of Zeus, Hera, Apollo, Demeter, Artemis, Athena, Ares, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hephaestus, Dionysus, and Poseidon. In conclusion of the tour, he told the class about the three most powerful, being the three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. During the lecture, Naruto felt a drawing of sorts to all of the statues of the gods, but most of all to Zeus and Hera. With that, everyone broke for lunch. Naruto joined Percy and Grover next to the fountain. Percy, noticing the strange thunderstorm gathering, asked, "Naruto, do you know what's up with the weather?" Quote. Naruto replied, "How should I know? I don't make the storms." "Come to think of it, these storms have been happening a lot lately. It is pretty weird." Naruto then noticed the look on Percy's face. He always got that look when he was thinking about his mom. So Naruto said, "Thinking about your mom, huh?" Percy replied, "Yeah, I miss her. I don't know why she puts up with Gabe at all." Naruto said, "Your mom deserves so much better than that slob." "I know it is tough, Percy, but there is nothing you can do to can it. If you want my advice, just, for your mom, take it all in stride. Something tells me Gabe is going to get his just desserts. Personally, I rather beat the living shit out of Gabe, just from what Percy has told me, and that's without even meeting the guy. Though something tells me that if I ever do meet him, I'll only want to kick his even more." Naruto thought while giving Percy his opinion. While Percy and Naruto were talking, Nancy was moving over towards them and summoning up what little courage she had dumped her lunch on top of Grover. "Oops," Nancy said sarcastically. As Nancy turned around, Naruto could see that Percy was angry and trying to control it and losing. Not that Naruto could blame him for not getting upset because he was as well. Suddenly, as Nancy was walking by the fountain, he saw a tentacle made of water grab Nancy and pull her into the fountain. Nancy then jumped out of the cold fountain water and said to the other teacher, "Miss Dodds, Naruto and Percy pushed me." Miss Dodds was the math teacher and for some reason she hated Naruto and Percy. So when she said, "Now honeys," Percy beat her to it and said, we know a month of erasing workbooks." Naruto knew, like any good prankster that knew, now the punishment would be even worse. He was right because Miss Dodds then said, "Mr. Jackson and Mr. Uzumaki, come with me." Grover, after cleaning himself up, finally said, "Wait, I did it, I pushed her." "I don't think so, Mr. Underwood," Miss Dodds replied. But Grover began to say but was interrupted when Miss Dodds said, "You will stay here," she said in an intimidating tone. "It's okay, Grover," Percy said, following Miss Dodds towards the entrance with Naruto. Naruto thought that Miss Dodds was going to make Naruto and Percy buy Nancy a new shirt and pants to replace the ones she was already wearing, but when they passed the gift shop, that immediately sent warning lights off in his head because of what he read in the book on monsters that his parents gave him when he arrived in his new home. According to the book, monsters will occasionally disguise themselves in order to get close to half-bloods to kill them, sometimes as ice cream men, other times as police officers and as teachers. Naruto realized that Miss Dodds was a monster of some kind by which he had no idea. That explained why she wanted to get him alone, but why Percy unless Percy is a half-blood? Naruto suspected that Percy may have been a half-blood, but the odds of that were slim to none because if there were 2 or more half-blood children in the same school, then monsters would be attracted like flies to honey, unless they were both weak, but the odds of that on his end anyway were nil because both his parents were gods, so logically monsters should be after him like crazy. As they neared a surprisingly empty Roman and Greek section, Naruto remembered thankfully that he was wearing the first gifts that he ever received from his parents. Flashback. Naruto had been living in New York City for about a month now. His new school would be starting up soon. Thankfully he managed to get down a good portion of the English language to hold his own in a conversion. Anyway, he was walking up to his apartment after a run in Central Park when he saw a package in front of his door. Naruto carefully picked up the package and went inside, after checking to see if it was booby trap. Naruto opened the package. Inside was a Rolex Sky Dweller watch, except instead of white gold on the case it was bronze, and the dial itself had the symbol of Omega on it. At the tips on either side was a lightning bolt and a peacock's feather and a gold wedding ring with the inscription, Mariag. And family are the 2 things which should be protected above all else. Seeing a letter in the box, Naruto grabbed it and opened it. The letter read, "Dear son, sorry I haven't written you, but even we gods are busy. Anyway, I just wanted to give you something which I know you are going to need to defend yourself against monsters which will surely be after you. You no doubt have read the book on monsters, then you know that celestial bronze, burning them, or if you have powers over nature such as water or fire, then any attack that you command over that element will have some of your divine energy in it. Example, if you made a whip out of fire, then any attack that connects with a monster will be like it was hit with a bronze whip. Anyway, the ring will turn into a double-edged Xiphos about 21 inches long. Use it well and keep it sharp, okay? The ring will become a shield about 3.5 feet long. May it protect you well. I love more than anything, son. Take care of yourself and never go anywhere without these on, okay? Sincerely, your loving mom." Naruto was happy beyond that. Even he was ecstatic that his mom cared so much about him. He told himself that the first time he meets his mom, he is going to give her the biggest hug ever. From that day on, Naruto practiced using the shield and sword outside the city and when a Yancy Academy in the woods surrounding the dorms, and he never took the watch or the ring off even in the shower. End flashback. Now Miss Dodds turned towards them and said, "You 2 have been causing us a lot of trouble." Percy looked at her like she was talking about the secret candy that he was selling to the kids with diet plans, while Naruto was getting ready to take her out while listening to her and try and G to find out what it was that she thought they did to cause a monster like her trouble. Oh mom, I don't know what Percy started to say, but then Miss Dodds interrupted and said, "Time's up." Suddenly her eyes turned into the fiery red and black of burning coal. The coat she was wearing turned back like wings as black as night. Her hands and feet turned into talons, and at her waist where her belt once was is now a whip made of the fires of the damned and corrupt. Naruto recognized her instantly. A fury, he whispered to himself. Percy was understandably stunned and scared. In fact, it's a miracle he didn't wet his pants. Naruto quickly activated his shield and sword. The fury charged the still stunned Percy. Naruto moved in an instant and moved in front of Percy and covered with his shield. The fury flew right into the shield, and Naruto used the moment it was stunned to slam his shield into the fury, pushing it back and on the ground. Naruto, seeing a chance to end this, quickly moved to end the fight and managed to hit the right hand of the fury. The fury, even though in great pain from the loss of its hand, quickly kicked Naruto's legs out from under him. As he fell, Naruto covered himself with his shield to prevent himself from getting hit. Percy finally snapped out of it when he heard Mr. Brunner, who appeared out of nowhere, said, "What ho, Percy," and tossed him a pen which turned into a sword. Percy, seeing Naruto on the ground using only his shield to cover him, because his sword was underneath his shield with him, moved to kill whatever it was that was attacking his friend. The fury heard Percy coming and looked up. The momentary distraction was all Naruto needed to use his shield to push the fury back, and then when it was stunned from the sudden movement, stroke alongside Percy, who had his eyes closed. Note to self: teach Percy how to use a sword. Naruto thought. Both swords struck at the same time, and the fury that was Miss Dodds was no more for now. Naruto quickly pocketed the 2 talons that remained of the fury and promised himself to give the other to Percy when they went to Camp Half-Blood. Naruto knew of Camp Half-Blood since he arrived. The only reason that he hadn't left to go to it was because he wanted to get his education done so that he wouldn't have to deal with having to leave after the summer was over or have to continue it at Camp Half-Blood. The reason for the second part is because the teacher for the education for year-round campers at camp was Athena, and according to what Dad wrote in the margins of one of the books his parents gave to him when he first arrived, Athena was like the strictest teacher you ever have times 1,000. Naruto always shivered at the thought. Anyway, he turned his sword and shield back into their ring and watch forms. Percy's sword turned into a pen. Useful but not exactly in hand at a moment's notice. Naruto thought, eyeing the pen. Percy naturally was freaking out about what just happened, and Naruto knew 2 things. 1, that he had to snap Percy out of it, and 2, that Percy would not believe that he was a half-blood if Naruto told him. So to save one of the 2, at least, Naruto walked up to Percy and hit him on the back of the head hard. Slap. "OWW, what was that for?" Percy asked. "To snap you out of it," Naruto stated simply. "Come on, we better get back to the class." Quote, "Naruto, please tell me, did that really just happen?" Percy asked, still very much confused. Naruto turned to Percy and said, "Yes, Percy, it did happen, but trust me, the less you know the better. For now, I promise I will explain everything, but not until the summer, okay? Please trust me on this." Quote, Percy answered back, "Okay, I'll trust you, but you better tell me everything, okay?" "I will, okay," Naruto replied back. "One more thing, more than likely the other students will ask about how some teacher we have never met telling us off or something along those lines. Just go along with it, okay?" Naruto said after remembering that the mist would hide what happened to Mortal Eyes from the book on monsters that his parents gave him. Another note to self: learn how to manipulate the mist. Percy, though even more confused, said yes, and they walked back to the group. When they got there, Nancy, who was still wet, said, "I hope Mrs. Kerr gave you detention for the rest of the year." Shortly thereafter, Percy was approached by Mr. Brunner and he said, "There is my pen, next time bring your own writing instruments, Percy." Quote, Percy was going to ask about Miss Dodds but remembered Naruto told him to go with it for now, so he wouldn't. He handed the pen to Mr. Brunner. Mr. Brunner then approached Naruto and said, "If you don't mind my asking, Naruto, where did you get that watch and wedding ring you always wear?" Quote, Naruto considered what to say, then said, "The watch was my father's. He left it to me before he passed away, and the wedding ring was my mom's. I had it resized to fit my hand." "Did your mother not want to wear it anymore?" Mr. Brunner asked curiously. "No, she did. In giving birth to me, my dad never got over it and simply passed away." Naruto said, thinking up a lie quickly. I'm sorry to hear that. If you ever need anything, just let me know. Mr. Brunner said, and went and told everyone that it was time to head back to the academy. As he walked to the bus, Naruto thought that something was going to happen, and it is going to happen this summer. To Nyanya Kitty Face, I will give Naruto an ability of his mom, but not the chains or any other Kekkei Genkai. Just wait and find out. Now on with the story. Thoughts, anger, rage. Naruto was in his dorm room with a sketchbook in hand, sketching out and designing any random thought that popped into his head. While sketching out a design for a rapid-fire crossbow, his thoughts drifted back towards the past 2 months. The day after the museum incident, and naturally Percy wanted answers. Okay Naruto, what the hell happened yesterday? I mean, Miss Dodds turned in that weird bat-like creature you said in L. Why have a sword and shield out of nowhere, and finally you don't appear to be all that shocked that this happened, so talk. Percy said forcefully. Alright, I said that I would explain, but before I do I must tell you that I can't tell you everything because right now it is best you don't know everything. NG, and know that I would not keep this from you unless I had to. Okay. Naruto replied back to Percy. Now, as to why I didn't appear surprised by what Miss Dodds turned into, all I can say is that I was expecting something like that to happen, and as far as that goes, that is all I will say at this time. Naruto said while thinking of how to respond to Percy's other questions without giving away he was a demigod. Now, as to how I had that sword and shield on me, and you were eventually questioned as to why everyone doesn't remember Miss Dodds and we have a new math teacher, is because I'm a ninja. Naruto said. Percy looked at Naruto disbelievingly. Naruto then decided to prove it by using a ninja technique that he managed to recreate. Naruto then channeled energy into his senses and then said, you just took a shower, you use Old Spice body wash, you ate spinach and steak for lunch, and you didn't brush this morning. How did you know all of that? Percy asked, wondering. I'm able to sharpen my senses using ninja technique from my sense of smell. I can tell you just bathed and used the Old Spice, that you also had spinach and steak for lunch, and as to how I know you didn't brush your teeth. You'll have a piece of yesterday's dinner in your teeth. Now do you believe me? Naruto said. Percy could only nod, dumbfounded like to Naruto. After telling Percy about his ninja past, Naruto then told Percy that was all he was going to say at the present time about the museum incident for now. Thankfully, Percy bought the story that the math teacher was a person that he summoned to cover up the missing math teacher. As to how he did that, Naruto only said, ninja secret. After having explained everything he could for now, life went on as if nothing had happened at the museum. Naruto was still at top of his class and Percy was about in the middle of his. However, Percy wouldn't be coming back to Yancy Academy next year because a few days ago he got into a fight because some bullies were picking on Grover, so the headmaster sent a letter to his mother saying that he wouldn't be allowed back in next year. Even though he hid it well, Naruto could see that Percy was happy to be not going back because he missed his mother. In other news, the weird weather that had been going on was continuing as the massive thunderstorm hit the Hudson Valley a few days after the museum incident, and the wind caused at the windows in Percy's room to break, so Naruto decided to let Percy stay with him for the last few weeks of the year. Now it was exam time before the start of summer. Percy, due to not coming back next year, decided to not take his exams seriously except for his Latin exam because Mr. Brunner was one of the only teacher to make him try to be the best that he could be. Naruto thankfully took his exams a week earlier and passed with flying colors, and due to the fact he was taking advanced classes, he applied for the graduation exam early so that he wouldn't have to leave Camp Half-BL Wood for high school, and so he wouldn't have to take Athena's lessons from hell as his father described in the book about Camp Half-Blood that he gave him. Naruto was due to take the graduation exam tomorrow while Percy was going to be taking his Latin exam tomorrow. Hearing a grunt of frustration, Naruto was broken from his thoughts by the fact a book suddenly hit him the head. OWW Percy, you had better have a good explanation as to why I had to get hit in the face, otherwise you'll have to take your exam because of you won't be finding your clothing anytime soon. Naruto said threateningly after taking the book off his face. It's just I can't seem to get anything retained. I mean, what is the difference between Theseus and Perseus? Simple. Theseus has T and H in the beginning and Perseus has just AP. Naruto said smartly with a smile. Percy just gave him a deadpan look. Okay, Theseus, the one with the T and H, was the son of Poseidon and he killed the Minotaur and defeated several notable monsters. Perseus was a son of Zeus and he defeated the Gorgon Medusa and used her head to turn to stone a sea monster and married the princess Andromeda. Well, that is all well and good, but how am I supposed to remember it? Percy asked. You could go and ask Mr. Brunner. I mean, he is the teacher, he could help you. Naruto suggested. You want to come with? Percy asked. No thanks, I need to get some sleep, I got a really important exam tomorrow. Naruto said after yawning. Naruto was woken up later by the sound of his door slamming shut. In an instant, Naruto had his shield and sword out and ready to decapitate whatever just came through his door. Thankfully for Percy, Naruto noticed his sea green eyes and stopped just short of taking his head off. What the hell, Percy? I almost took your head off. What are you doing slamming the door like that? Naruto yelled, angry at Percy for almost making Naruto make him headless. Sorry, but you are never going to believe what I heard at Mr. Brunner's office, Percy said. Percy then went on to tell Naruto about Herr Grover and Mr. Brunner talk about him and Naruto, something about the mist, a kindly one, and a summer solstice deadline. Naruto said nothing as he listened and took all of it in. His thoughts, however, were running a mile a minute. So Grover is without a doubt a satyr, but who Mr. Brunner is a mystery. I doubt he is a satyr as well. He could be an older half-blood that works for the camp, one guess. So for now I believe I can trust Grover with the fact I'm a demigod to him. Quote, Naruto then told Percy that they couldn't do anything about it tonight, so it would be best if they turned in for the night. The next day was a difficult one for Naruto. Even with his advanced classes, he still had some trouble with the graduation exam, but he managed to bear the brunt of it and pass. Said the exam. Percy asked him to come by his place so that he could meet his mom. Now he was sitting on his motorcycle, a 1938 Indian Chief, all original, painted black with gold pinstripes, outside of Percy's apartment waiting for him to arrive. He saw a cab pull up shortly after he arrived. Percy said, Hey Naruto, good to see you made it. I just know you are going to love my mom. Naruto nodded then asked, Hey, wasn't Grover with you as well? He was, but he was acting weird, like he was afraid of his own shadow. He gave me a card that said Camp Half-Blood on it, but when I asked about it he just said that it was his summer address. But he started acting the weirdest after the bus broke down and these old ladies were making the biggest pair of socks cut a string, Percy said while in the elevator to his place. Naruto could only think, Percy, if only you knew you would be as worried as Grover and I are. I just hope that it wasn't your life wasn't the one ended. Percy was hoping his mom was home from work, but she wasn't. Instead, Gabe and his poker buddies were sitting around the table playing 5-card draw with ESPN blaring in the background and beer cans everywhere. Naruto was angered to say the least because the people that could get on Naruto's hate list were 1. Wife abusers, 2. Child beaters, posters, 3. Rapists. And Gabe fell into 2 of those catalogers, being a wife abuser in the fact that he took complete advantage of Mrs. Jackson and the fact that Percy told him that if he didn't pay for his gambling funds whenever he visited he would punch his lights out. Normally Naruto would have turned Gabe into a bloody smear on the wall by now, but there was a better way to get at Gabe by taking him for everything he owned. While Naruto was thinking all of this, Gabe saw that Percy and Naruto were there. So you were back. Who the loser friend of yours? Gabe said while smoking his cigar. Naruto is his name. Where is my mom? Percy asked. She's working. Got any cash? Gabe asked as he raised his bet. No, I don't, Percy said while noticing that Gabe had put on weight. He used to look like a tuskless walrus with 3 hairs combed over his bald head to try and make himself handsome. Now he looked like a beached whale with 2 hairs on his head and a face which looked like he covered himself in bacon grease. Gabe said after raising a grease-covered eyebrow, which was the most exercise he got in a day. You took a cab from the bus station, paid with a 20, got $7 to $8 in change. Somebody expects to live under this roof, then he ought to carry his own weight. Am I right, Eddie? Eddie the building super looked at Percy with some sympathy and said, Come on Gabe, the kid just got here. Quote, Am I right, Eddie? Gabe asked again, stressing Eddie's name to say agree with me or else. Eddie just scowled into his bowl of pretzels. The other two players, a lawyer and an accountant, just passed gas in harmony. As Percy reached into his pocket to pull out his money, Naruto then decided to begin ruining Gabe by pulling out his wallet and withdrawing $1,000 and said, "Got room for one more?" Gabe, seeing the $1,000, said, "Sure, have a seat." Quote. Percy then saw the look in Naruto's eye and he knew Gabe wasn't for it. "Percy, why don't you make yourself at home while I take Gabe here down?" Naruto said while taking his place at the table. Taking the cards that were dealt, Naruto saw that he had a great hand right off the bat with a king, N, jack, 10, and an 8. After betting 200, he took one card and got an ace. Naruto then went all in. Seeing this, Gabe decided to call as well as Eddie, the accountant, and the lawyer. They showed their hands. Eddie had 2 pair, the accountant a flush, the lawyer had 3 of a kind in save ace, and Gabe had 3 of a kind in tens. Naruto, seeing these hands, smirked and reviled his royal flush. Just then a woman appeared through the front door and Naruto could see why Percy thought so much of his mom. She had this air around her that just made you want to smile. Naruto then noticed she was looking at him oddly. He then said, "Hello there, Mrs. Jackson, my name is Naruto. I'm a friend of Percy's. He's in there," he said while pointing towards the room Percy went into. Naruto then turned his attention back towards the game and said, "Let's make this interesting, shall we?" Gabe then asked, "How?" "Well, I say we each bet something we each own and it has to be of equal or more value to the object previously bet," Naruto said. "Sure, I think we all can do that, right guys?" Gabe said as everyone nodded. "Okay, I'll go first. I bet my motorcycle it's a 1938 Indian Chief, all original." Gabe then said, "I'll bet my 1978 Camaro." Quote. Eddie said, "I'll bet my 1957 Ferrari California." Naruto had to ask, "How does a building super own one of the rarest of Ferrari cars ever made?" "My grandfather bought it back when he and my dad lived in California," Eddie said. The lawyer then said, "I'll bet my 1970 Dodge 426 Hemi Fastback." The accountant then said, "Well, I don't have a car to bet, but I do have my plane. It's AP-51 Mustang." The cards were dealt and Naruto once again had a great hand with a 10, 9, Jack, Queen, 2 all of diamonds. After taking one card for 2, Naruto received an 8 of diamonds. Gabe on the other hand didn't have anything at all, but he did have 3 aces hidden under his cells, so to distract everyone he yelled out, "Hey Sally, how about some bean deep, huh?" Quote. Naruto didn't want Percy's time with his mom to get interrupted, so he then got up and got the bean deep from the fridge. While Naruto was doing so, Gabe then switched 3 of his cards to the 3 aces he had hidden, so feeling he then said, "Never mind, Percy's friend got it." Quote. Then Gabe said, "Let's end this already, I'm all in." The other went all in as well. Then they showed their hands, with the lawyer only having a pair of kings, the accountant having a flush, and Eddie having 3 sevens. Gabe then reviled his hand, showing a full house. Gabe then smirked and said, "Looks like I won myself a few new sets of wheels in a plane, thanks losers, haha." Naruto then said, "Wait a minute Gabe, I still have to show my hand straight flush." Quote. Naruto then takes the titles to the cars and plane and says, "Thanks guys, I will take very good care of them." Then Percy and Sally walked back into the room and Naruto could see that Percy was happy to be home, and then Gabe said, "You were in there a while." Quote. Sally replied by saying, "We were just talking about the trip." Gabe then said as his eyes got small, "You were serious about that?" "Well, you can't go because I just lost all my money and my car to this brat."